Hey guys, thanks for tuning in to What the Fuck Are We Doing? I'm Randy.
And I'm Miranda.
And we're back. Happy
Mm-hmm.
fucking Monday this week. Well, I think before we talk about the episode, how are you
Mm-hmm.
doing? Let's check in
I'm
with one
good.
another.
I'm good. Yeah, things are good. Randy and I just caught up for like 20 minutes before we started recording because we always do that.
Yeah, we just
Things
talked for a
are
little bit, chit
yeah,
chat.
things are good. I have 2 job interviews next week, so
Yes, round of
fingers
applause.
crossed. You know what I was thinking now? Okay, this was also like keeping me up a little bit last night. So one of the jobs has to do a background check, and I was like, are they gonna like find the podcast and be like, oh
You
God, no?
You know what's so funny is I've been thinking about that too. So I had an interview last week and
Uh
then I
huh.
applied to two places yesterday that
Mhm.
suppose my file's supposed to get pulled or whatever.
Uh huh.
And I've been thinking about that too. I'm like, what if they like find my socials and then find
Yeah.
the podcast?
And then they're
And like
like, oh, she is not serious. Like,
this has been my mom's biggest fear and why she
yeah.
kind of like is weird about supporting me with
Yeah, I remember
with
your
this
mom had like
podcast.
said something
She was like,
about it.
Randy, like this is gonna hold you back from like so many opportunities
Yeah.
and like all this stuff. And I'm kind of like, Mom, this is like the thing I'm trying to
Well,
make an
yeah.
opportunity out
Well,
of.
and like also why okay if we never say and like I don't know that we ever have shared like I know you've shared where you worked. I don't think I've ever said the place I worked. Like I wouldn't come on here and be like, hey guys, I'm working as a blah blah blah
Oh
at
yeah, I only shared
so
the
it's
place I
like
worked recently, well
because
previously,
we
because
don't work
they
there
let
anymore.
go of me and I don't work
Yeah,
there anymore.
but it's like if they're two separate things, like
Yeah,
why
why
does
do
it
they need to be one?
but I was thinking that I was like, oh my God, they're gonna do a background check and it's gonna be like Bing podcast and they're gonna be like, who the fuck is this girl? I'm
And it's like,
scared.
what the fuck are we
Yeah, they're gonna
doing?
be like, and the pictures are fucking middle
We're like,
fingers. They're gonna be like inappropriate. She's
yeah, see,
canceled.
literally, that is exactly what my mom
Oh
thinks
my
is gonna
God.
happen.
I
So
hope that doesn't happen. If it
hopefully,
does, I'm gonna throw a fit. No, I won't throw a fit, but I'll be angry for
with
sure.
that being said,
Wait, how are you? You
if
have to answer
you're
that now.
listening to us, if you're listening to us on an Apple Podcast, give us a 5-star rating and leave a review. If you're
Please.
watching on YouTube, like, comment, subscribe. Yeah, help your girls out.
Yeah.
We're doing
Oh
this
my
for
God.
fun. We love it. But
And
yeah, like
hopefully, I was just thinking that shit though. I was like, this is the first time I've ever been concerned because it's like a fairly serious job.
yeah.
And I was like, fuck, like they're gonna what do they I don't know how background checks work, but I imagine someone like Googling my name and like this shit comes up. I
Yeah.
don't know.
I don't know. I mean, we'll see. I think you're in the clear. You're awesome. Hopefully you get the job.
Yeah.
But I've been thinking about that too. I'm just like, I
You're
feel
like
like the jobs I'm going for like wouldn't really care, but I'm like,
yeah.
what if like I decided to do something more seriously? I don't know.
I just feel like people should be allowed to have like a work life and a non-work life.
Yeah, and also like the whole tattoo thing. Like
So
I'm
weird.
trying to
Okay,
be
well that
covered.
thing I was just thinking about that too because this job also asked like on the application if you have any tattoos. And I don't, but like today we just talked about this. I'm going to get one. And they're like I want to say they said like they can't be visible on like your arms or your
Yeah.
hands. And then I was like that's kind of fucked up. Like you're
Why?
what if someone was such a great candidate and you're like sorry, you have one tattoo on your
Well,
arm.
think that was exactly like, I mean, I guess it's different because it's military, but that was Reggie. My brother went
Isn't
through a
that
whole process of having to get, like, literally, it was a cross tattoo. Like, it was
yeah.
nothing bad. It was a cross. And he had to get, like, removed. He had to pay to get it removed in
That's
order
so
to get
wild.
into the Air Force. And now that he's in, they're like, oh, you can get any tattoos you want. And they can
Oh,
be,
it's just to get
yeah,
in. You can't have
yeah.
any?
I guess. Like, pretty much, yeah. It's weird.
I just think it's weird that people think they can tell you what you can and can't do with your body for a job. Like that's just creepy to me.
Yeah.
Um, okay, how are you though?
Oh, I'm good. Honestly, I was talking about it. I'm sure you heard in the music
Yeah,
segment. I feel like I'm just doing better than
you are.
ever as of
Mhm.
recently. I feel like
Mhm.
it's really like, I hate to sound cheesy, but it's like the people in my life, and
Yeah.
I don't know, maybe I just needed some bad things out of my, I don't know, maybe some
I
things that were a part of my life weren't like I didn't think they were as bad as I thought, I guess.
Uh-huh.
I don't know. Like life is just
I
good.
also feel like, and you and I talk about this sometimes, like it's like that, like seasons are changing and like
Yeah.
warm weather's coming, and I just feel like I'm a better person in like spring and summertime. Like,
Oh, definitely. That's when I thrive.
same. It's just the world feels
Little
happier. It's like warmer. It's nicer.
I'm like, neither of us really know much about it, but I'm like, I'm a Cancer, you're a Leo. I feel like, do we thrive because our birthdays
I don't
are coming
know.
up? Is that
Probably,
why?
yeah, because I like love my birthday. It's my favorite holiday.
Yeah.
I don't fucking know. But yeah.
I
I'm
don't know.
so
Life is
excited
good. I'm
that,
happy.
me too. I'm so excited that we're on your YouTube. It's like still kind of weird that people watch us.
Honestly, yeah. I like it though. It's interesting. I feel like, oh, she heard something.
I know. I was like,
She's like the
I
side
forgot.
profile.
See, I forgot right now that people are
or
seeing
could
us.
be watching us. Yeah.
Yeah.
It's really fun just to like lay out on my bed, which you can see right behind me, and like watch us on my TV, and just
Yeah.
I laugh. We're hilarious.
I haven't
least I
put us
think
on
so.
my TV yet. I'm gonna have to do that.
I feel
gonna
like
be
it's
fun.
just a whole different level of entertainment, as you would
I
say.
really do. I like focus more when I could see something. So I feel like
for sure.
like if I don't know if they do. I don't think they do. Like if Crime Junkie did videos, like I would totally watch that because I kind of struggle sometimes to pay attention if I'm just listening to something. Like my brain just like wanders,
I absolutely hate it because so part of my routine is when I wake up, usually if I'm typically I don't work out, but today I did, guys. I'm starting to bring that into my routine. But usually I'll wake up really early and I just try to get like clean the house. Like I feel like total mom vibes just in general. I'll wash dishes, and then every Monday there's a new Crime Junkie episode. So I listen to that like with my AirPods and I wash dishes, and I hate it because half the time I'm stopping and like drying my hands because I have to like go back because I'm like, what the fuck just happened? I'm like, what did she say?
I did that the other day.
Or I start the episodes and I'm listening, and then I'm like, what year did this go down?
Yeah, you're
like
what are
where
you
does this take
talking
place?
about?
So I have to start it.
I literally just did that. I was driving back from my hair appointment, and this week's episode was so good, but I kept getting lost at the same part. Like,
yes, I'm like, wait, where did we jump from?
I kept zoning out. I was like,
like,
who is he? Like, where did this guy come from? And so I'd like back, and then I'd like start thinking about something else, and I was like, I need to give it up for today. Like, I cannot do it. But if there was like a visual, I feel like even if it was just them talking, I feel like I'd be like, okay.
Just like right now with me yawning, I'm like, people can see me, Randy. Don't forget, people can see you. Cover your mouth, cover your mouth. Also, going back on what I said, I want to take back the mom vibes comment. Moms aren't the only people that clean. I have a real issue with men cleaning, and I think men need to clean more. And I'm part of the problem since I said mom vibes when it came to cleaning.
Did I send you
all
that
humans
TikTok?
Clean?
Did I send you that TikTok the other day?
Yes, you did.
With the girl cleaning?
Yes, you did. Guys,
it made me laugh so hard. I was like, I have to show Randy this. This is like so Randy.
Raynessa and I, Raynessa is my sister if you guys don't know, but Raynessa and I were having a conversation yesterday with my grandma about how like we were raised to like serve the men food. Like I was telling my grandma the other day how I cook dinner for everyone, and basically if my mom isn't home, they claim they will serve themselves, but
they
like
won't.
My brother and my dad will just like sit around and then be like, oh, is food done, and then it's like, okay, yeah, are you guys ready to be served? And I'll serve them food. And my grandma was like, yeah, that's the way we were raised. And my grandma was saying how she remembers when she was little, all the men would sit at the table first and all their wives would serve them.
That makes me want to throw up.
And they would all eat, and then when they were done, the women would clean up after them, and then the women and the children would eat. And
like, in what world?
I look at my grandma and I was like in my head, I'm like, you got me fucked
I would have
up.
been like, get your ass up.
Yeah.
And get your food. And I'm going to be over here eating. Okay? And you can feed the kid too. Oh
I love that you say that, because as much as I bitch and moan about men, like my brother not picking up the slack and like cleaning, I am very much like I don't like the way you do it. I know how to do it. I'm going to do it and get it done. So like, I know it sucks, but I like to think if I was in a serious relationship and I lived with a person or got married, I know I probably will be the one doing most of it because I'm very like particular about how I do things. But it's like I do need to be with someone who knows how to like clean their room and do shit on their own, like their mom isn't doing everything for them. Or
no, I really have a problem with this because my dad, and I love him and he's a hardworking man, but like he's the same way. And like my mom, that's how it's always been in the house. My mom serves my dad, and like if I'm making dinner, I'm like, Dad, come get your food. Like, it's ready, it's right there, you can get it. And then I'm like, fuck, I'm being an asshole, so then I end up serving him anyway. But like with Rodrigo, I'm like, you can get your food, and he would never like sit down and expect me to serve him.
Yeah,
he actually like serves me my food a lot of the time, but I'm like, I'm not, like, I will not have you sit down and me be like, here honey, like, no.
Like, I don't know, I keep fucking yawning. I promise you guys I'm not bored or tired. My brain needs oxygen. That's what it is.
I've always wondered why people associate yawning with boredom. I don't,
because that's a reason. That's like it's either you're bored, you're tired, or your
it's like
brain
a real
needs oxygen.
scientific reason.
Yeah,
I knew the oxygen one. I yawn all the time. Maybe I'm bored all the time.
I do not know. But yeah, I don't know. I hate it. I'm like one of those girls who like talk shit. Like I'll talk shit about men, but like deep down, like I know at the end of the day, I'm gonna be like, "Here's your food. Do you want a refill? Like here's your drink."
That's
like
funny.
Not all the time though. No. Not all the time. Like that's the one thing. Like I don't want men to expect this shit.
Yeah,
like, I don't want you to expect me to do that. Exactly. Like I will gladly offer it to the man I love, like my dad, like funny, my brothers, like, all day. But you are not gonna tell me
sit your ass down and be like,
serve me.
Food? Oh God,
I'm hungry now.
No.
That's a woman. Oh, that's a woman's job. Oh, I heard that one the other day, and I was like,
I hate when people say shit like that. And it's funny because, like, you said that. Like, sometimes I find, like, it'll just naturally kick in. Like, if I'll be at Rodrigo's and I'll find myself doing things and I'm like, oh, my God. Like, you didn't want to be this girl. And, like, here I am, like, like, putting things away, organizing things. And then but the same thing, I'm like, he doesn't know how to do it the way I like to do it. And it needs to be done the right way. So I'm just going to do it. And it's like.
God, are we just bitches?
Maybe.
I'm like.
Honestly, maybe, but yeah, no, I don't even know how we got here, but I like this conversation, and maybe we should have a whole episode on it.
Maybe we should. I just know, like, my mom's she's a clean lady.
That's how my mom is,
you know, she loves the house being presentable, and I have become that way. Mm-hmm. So I don't know. I just think it's so annoying, like, when guys don't do shit, like when they just expect like women to do shit. Like, I'm sorry, like, no, I could never. No. Like, that's why, not that, I don't even know if I want kids, but if I ever had sons and they acted that way, I would. This is, like, one reason, I think, why I would want to have kids. Like, I say I don't want to have kids, but one reason. Humans? Yes, because I'd want to explain to them, like, no, you're not going to expect this from a woman. Yeah, and it's not going to be, like, me where I, like, have all these, like, things I need to do for the family, which, like, I don't mind doing them. Like, I live here rent free. Like, it's the least I can do. But like, don't get me wrong. But it's like, why is it that I am washing dishes, I am cooking dinner, I am doing the laundry, anything. I'm cleaning the bathroom, and my brother is like, will occasionally dry dishes and like take out the trash. And I'm like,
dude, I have my moments like that too. And I'm like,
and it's different because you don't have brothers.
No.
So it's interesting.
I have a little sibling, which is why I think, and that's what kicks into, I think it's being the baby, and then your brother has, like, he's also a boy. And so I think that's why it's like double whammy for you. But
also another thing I realized, I feel like one thing my grandma mentioned,
I can't believe that's how shit was for your poor grandma.
She loves it, like, till this day. She even,
because that's how she was raised. Like, that's all she's
like, I see no other way. And she was talking about how, like, yeah, like, sometimes Ray's like, yeah, Gilbert will serve himself, like, and my grandma, she's the type, if she sees Gilbert serving himself, she's like, no, me, like, sit down, like, and she'll serve him. Like, that's the way she is. And yesterday, Ray actually texted me last night, and she's like, dude, guess what? And I was like, what? She's like, Grandpa's serving himself. I don't know why, but he's serving himself. And I was like, what the fuck? And I was like, do you think it's something we said? And she's like, I have no idea. I don't know what's going on, but Grandpa is feeding himself right now. I was like, what
Everyone's
the fuck is
like,
going
oh my
on?
God, take pictures.
We're like, what, Irene?
That's so funny. The only people that I do that for, like, I used to serve my papa when he'd come over. Like, anything he wanted, I'd be like, what do you want? Like, I'll get it. My dad, I'm the same way because I'm like, you're my dad. Like, but I'll give him a hard time about it. And I'll be like, I don't have to do this, right? And he's like, I know. And I'm like, okay, but I will because you're my dad. Yeah. But no one else. I'm like, you can get that shit yourself. Like,
it's literally, that's me. It's legs. Like my grandpa, like any of my grandpas, Steven. And now that I think about it, I don't know if maybe it's because like I don't see my dad a lot. Like, especially, like, in that setting, it's very rare now that we have, like, meals together. Yeah. But, yeah, like, I don't serve my real, like, my dad. Yeah, no, weird. We're cool. Like, I would. Like, don't get me wrong. But my relationship with my dad is very different from my relationship with Steven, of course.
Don't you think
like, I go over and we're just, like, shooting the shit. Like, we're talking shit to each other. Like, that's how it is.
Now that we're talking about this, I just think it's so odd that like serving somebody has like such like there's just so many like deeper meanings behind it, and like and it's just eating, like you're just giving them food. So weird.
And it's like, okay, this is where it's like weird for me because like I think of food as like it's like a love type thing. Like it's like a love language, like especially like when you make the meal and then when you serve someone, like I love that, I love you, like eat this food, that I get. But it goes back to, like, as I was saying, is, like, there's times where it's, like, I know they're just expecting it. It's, like, you're supposed to do this for me. Yeah. Like, I'm not supposed to, like, I'm the man. I'm not going to serve myself.
There's a difference between them, like, just not knowing and then them being like, no, I'm not going to get up because I know you're going to do it. You're going to do it. Like, yeah. This is another reason I'm glad I'm
like, I remember one time, like, and that's the thing is, I think my brother especially, like I think people get so conditioned to it.
Yeah, like, well, if that's all they've seen and that's how they're treated, so, they don't know any different.
There's been times where Ezra will be like, oh, like let me know when I'm served, and I'm like and I'll be like in my room doing homework and I'm like
oh my gosh, dude, I would lose my shit.
I'm literally like,
I'd throw the food at him and be like, there you go.
No, I'm over there, I'm like, and then I come to my room, do homework, and I go back. I'm like, does anyone need anything else?
You're so nice. No, fuck no. I do a lot of dishes around here, but
girl,
we're like queens of dishes, man. I feel like I'm always washing dishes.
I feel like I'm just always cleaning. But before we keep talking about cleaning,
that was fun.
It was fun. It was nice.
I love when we get into these random, like, how did we even start talking?
It's very us. And it needs to happen.
It is, because this is how, like, our real conversations in life work anyways, So
exactly. Like, the whole point of this is to feel like you're just hanging out with us and we're just running our mouths talking about whatever. As always. But now that we did that, do you want to talk about what we're going to talk about today? Do you want to explain what it is we're speaking about and why?
So I guess it's kind of like two things in one. So basically we're going to talk about relationship anxiety, but also, and they go hand in hand, which is why I said two things, like the pressures that maybe we put on ourselves in relationships, maybe not even just like romantic relationships, but like to feel a certain way about somebody, or like you expect to like, because, like, in movies and shit, right? It's always like, he's the one I knew. Like,
there's this spark.
Yeah, and I think that, like, people expect those things, like, to be like, oh, I knew he was the one, like, from the first moment we met. And, like, I think that that's all bullshit. Like, I truly don't believe any of that. I wish I had that fucking TikTok you sent me that one time about that, and I would play it. But so we're going to talk about that because it's something that I feel like I've dealt with within the past few months. Something that I'm sure you've dealt with at one point in your life. It's something that I've seen in my friends' relationships. So, yeah. And I feel like a lot of people probably deal with relationship anxiety and don't even know what it is. Yeah. Or like, because I don't think that I knew that's what it was. Like, I think that, I don't know. I was just like, what the fuck is going on, which is fitting
always. It's
for
always
our-
what the fuck. Literally, I feel like, especially
That's
since
right.
we've-
That's literally our lives. Like,
since we've started this podcast, especially, I feel like I've noticed myself. Like, I'm more aware of it, but I'll be doing stuff and I'm like, what the fuck? And then I'm like, oh. I'm like, whoa.
you're like,
Here
literally.
we are.
I love that.
I'm like,
I
it
love
all
that.
makes sense.
Yeah. The
Or
funniest
when I hear
thing
other
about
people
that,
around me say it, I'm like,
the funniest thing about that is that my mom gave us our name. Like,
I absolutely love it.
same. I honestly
Shout out
forget.
to Marlene.
Seriously, she's a winner. Okay.
She really just walked in and was like, she
Yeah,
said
we
the
were
name
like-
and then like walked out.
We were like, what should we name it? And she's like, haha, what about what the fuck are we doing? And then we were like
That's it.
she was joking, and we were like, wait, that was good. Like, we really have no idea. But yeah, okay. So
here we
I'm
are.
trying to like organize my.
But
things
I
here.
really wanted Miranda to like lead the conversation today, just because like even though it isn't necessarily just romantic relationships,
Yeah.
she's the one in the romantic relationship right now, and I feel like that's more of what we're touching on.
Yeah.
And I feel like you have more experience with,
I
like, you've
do.
actually been putting more time into figuring out exactly like what relationship anxiety is and like how to work on it and stuff.
Yeah.
So that's why I want you
Yeah.
to lead today's
Okay.
conversation.
So what we're gonna start? Oh, I have my Nina called me. Okay. So I guess first I'm gonna talk about what it was for me and like how I was feeling, and then I shared with Randy this girl I follow on Instagram that has some really amazing posts about this. She's called Not So Secret Diary of Anxiety. I keep forgetting people are looking at us because I have to look down and read my notes. So
yeah, if we're looking
basically-
down, it's our
it's because
notes
we're
and
reading.
stuff.
Yeah. So basically, for me, I felt like this, and I'm gonna be transparent in all these things. I was feeling this probably. What month are we in? April. So probably like 2 to 3 months ago, I was like really going through this with my current relationship, and I just constantly felt like I needed to be prepared for like something bad to happen. Not that I was like gonna get cheated on or anything like that, but I just constantly felt like, am I missing something? Like, why is this going so smoothly? Like, what's going on? And like just really doubting my own feelings and doubting the relationship and all those types of things. And so that's basically what I wrote down. So the girl that I follow on Instagram, who I literally happened to stumble upon when I was going through it.
That's so nice, like when that happens.
I know. I was like, this is the universe talking to me. But she has a few different things about what relationship anxiety can look like. So one of them is, oh my God, Emmy's little blackout curtain is about to fall. So if you hear something loud, that's what it is. One of them is fear that you're not good enough for your partner. That's not something that I felt, because that's just not who I fucking am.
You know what? Bad bitch over here. I'm over here like shit. And she's
I was like,
me.
no.
Definitely a feeling though. It happens to some of us guys. If
It does
if
happen to
you
people,
feel that way,
for
you're not
sure.
alone.
No. The next one was constantly second guessing your love for your partner or wondering if you're with the right person. And this one was like me so much. Like, I can't even
That's
express.
big Miranda.
Yeah.
Big Miranda energy.
So bad. Like, and it was just so wild because I'm like somebody that needs reassurance in everything I do. Randy knows this because I'll be like, should I do this? And she's like, she already knows. She's like, yeah, of course, do it. So I need that all the time. And so I'd be like, Mom, like, is this normal? Like, should I feel like this? Blah, blah, blah. Should I feel this way? And so then I would just like fucking put myself
That's so
into
interesting.
this, like, that I need
Now that you
reassurance
say
all
that
the
out
time.
loud, well, like obviously that's something I knew, but thinking of just how you are, so like me and Sophia and I were actually talking about this the other day about you. Sophia was listening to or she was watching our episode, and she was saying how she's like, I just wish I could just be like as unapologetically like myself as Miranda. Like
Aw.
she's like, Miranda is just like Miranda, like, and I was just like, dude, same. Like, I wish I can just like not be sorry, like be like all that and then some.
Yeah.
And it's crazy to me how you are that way, but yet like I know like you still do need all this reassurance.
Oh, a ton of it. And it's like, it's taken a lot to get to even like where I am now with those things, because I have my moments where like I'll be like, I'm not fucking sorry. And then like in my head, I'm like, oh my God, like, fuck. I'm like, shit.
Who am I?
Yeah, I'm like, who is this person? So it's not like, I am definitely myself. I try to be as upfront and myself as I can possibly be. And like you and I have talked about how we try not to filter ourselves for anybody.
Yeah.
But even doing that, sometimes I have my moments where I'm like, okay, you need to like, you should feel bad. Like,
simmer down.
Yeah, I'm like, okay. But yeah, I need like so much reassurance from just everybody in my life, really. Not
I feel that.
It's not even in like a needy way. Like, I don't need somebody to be like, I love you so much. Like, I don't need it like that. I need it more of like, I need to know I'm making the right choices in my life. And when I go to like make such small choices, I talk to my sister and I talk to my mom and like
very much you.
I talk to you, and I need to know what everyone is going to say before I can make a decision, and I don't know why. Like,
do you think like, okay, is that like a people pleasing thing? Like low key? Like I feel like that's low key what it is.
Because then the next thing that happens is I make whatever choice, and then I'm like, oh my God, but she's going to be so upset that I did this, or she's not going to be, I feel like,
yeah, that's just clearly an anxiety thing. Like I feel like that's like our biggest issue is like,
yeah,
especially with you, because you're not necessarily a people pleaser. Like I would say, like I don't think you're a textbook like people pleaser. But I definitely think, like, there are those, like, very significant people in your life. Like, like as you and I have, I think that's what happens when you're, like, a big family girl, which we are.
Yeah, you, like, want
to... You, like, give a fuck what your family and, like, what your loved ones think. Yeah. So it's, like, how do you feel about this? Like, how do you feel about it? And then you kind of just gather everyone, like, all the information. And then you...
Yeah, and then you make a choice. And I do that with so many fucking things.
You do.
And it's like I try to like break the habit of doing it because I do it with really minor things too, like so. Like,
oh yeah, she does it, guys, with like food,
clothes, like anything. Yeah. And so I try to be better about it, but like I can't. Like there's something in me that's like I need to ask them, and I need them to tell me, yes, Miranda, you should do it, or no, Miranda, you shouldn't do it. And I don't always listen, but like I just need to. I don't know. I need to have
you just need that extra like little
So I guess
confirmation.
Yeah, that's the one that I was struggling with because
I feel like majority of the time though, when you, especially like with smaller decisions. So let's say I feel like when you go to people to like talk to them about whatever it is you're going to, or ask them whatever it is, you kind of already have a sense of like what you want them to answer, right?
Yeah.
So, like, if they don't, let's say, like, if it's not advice and it's, like, them choosing what you're having for lunch, because most of the time you'll be like, Randy, what do I want for lunch? Or, something of that, on that scale. If they choose something that you weren't necessarily originally, like, thinking or, like, leaning towards, do you listen to what they said? You still go with what you were saying?
No. Yeah,
so
I will just still do it. I just need like someone's opinion.
You need validation. You're just hoping that they say what you say. Yeah. Okay. So we figured that out.
Which is so wild. And I don't know like when I
You're just an
person.
anxious Annie.
Yeah, it's so bad. And it's like so funny because I don't think that I realized I did that until like probably like 2 years ago. And it will like I would call my mom and ask her something so dumb, and then I'd be like, why did I do that? Like, why did I ask her that? Like, I don't need to ask her that. Like, I can figure it out on my own. I don't know. I
think it's so funny. Just, we're on season 2. We've done, I don't know how many episodes. And I feel like, clearly, we've had so many conversations just one-on-one before the podcast. And we always say we're so much alike. And I feel like I'm just realizing how, like, different we are on, like, I feel
we
like
are.
we see the same in many different ways and stuff, but I'll be one way and then you're complete opposite, or like like in certain like I don't know, it just blows my mind. Isn't that wild?
I know, I have,
but
those
it like we balance
too.
each other out. That's why we balance each other out.
We do.
But it's just so funny to me because it's like whatever I struggle with, you're like a bad bitch in that area, and
then
whatever
it's
like
the other way
around. It's like, and it's like we're trying to help each other.
It's so funny.
I just had to mention that. I think it's great.
Yeah, so that one is what I struggled with, and I guess I was looking for validation from other people. Like I was needing other people to validate my feelings and be like, no,
Welcome
like
to my
you're
life.
fine. Yeah. So that
Not
one
in
was
that
like,
way exactly, but yeah.
but yeah. So it was like I was going through it. Like this is really what made me go back to therapy, because I knew that it was like a deeper rooted issue than, like, I think that my anxiety was just showing itself in that part of my life, like just through my relationship. And I think that was like my sign to be like, okay, you need to talk to somebody again. Not even just about this, but obviously something's going on.
Yeah.
So that, sparked my therapy. Another one that she talked about was focusing on small details that make you question everything about your relationship. I was also doing that really bad, and Randy knows this because I would talk to her about
I'm like,
these things.
I saw that firsthand, but
Mhm.
for someone who's in a relationship currently, I mean, you don't have to give examples like based on your relationship, but what would you say are examples of that?
Okay. Examples of that.
Like,
Okay,
what are like
minor
small
things, right?
Yeah, like minor
So,
things. Because
I
now
don't
I'm
even
thinking
remember
about
what
my
mine-
past relationships, and I'm like, did I?
So I would say things like, because at this point, right, you're already in the mental space of like, is this the right person for me? What's going on?
You're already questioning.
You're already
so
like
much.
in this
Yeah.
headspace. So then, right, you could be going somewhere and they say something, whatever, something that goes, oh, okay, I'm gonna give you an example. No, because that one's too black and white. Okay, something that just goes against what you would typically believe, or something you would typically like think is appropriate or not, right? Whether it's something super serious or not, and then you're like, oh my god, like
The Miranda,
yeah,
you
you're
don't
like,
want
what
Miranda
the
to do that
fuck?
to you ever.
No. And then you're like, oh my god, like, does this person, like, do I not know anything about them? And then
like,
yeah, and then you're like,
I just saw your true colors.
yeah, you're
almost.
like, what are your fucking morals? Like, who raised you?
Okay, this is so funny because I thought this was minor issues, and this is turning into who
Okay,
are
well,
you
it
as
could
an
be,
individual?
because I feel like you spiral. Like, I feel
Yeah.
like it's like one small
it's
thing.
a black hole,
and
like,
then
you
you're
literally fall
like,
into
but
it.
if they act like this, then maybe they're gonna act like this later on, and they're gonna do blah blah blah.
That's the worst.
Bad, because you're
Been there.
spiraling. This one is like one of my favorite ones. Talking to your friends about their relationships and comparing it to yours. That is so awful.
The worst thing you could do.
Literally the worst
ever.
thing you can do. I'm pretty much convinced that if you do that, you're gonna like kill your relationship, because
you're gonna drain that shit.
Because you're gonna just like have so many, like, no one's relationship is gonna be the same. Like, two perfect relationships could look totally different because everyone is so different, you know? That one really resonated with me because I like caught myself doing that, but comparing it to like my sister's relationship, which, you know, is at a very different phase of life and stage of relationship and all those things. But yeah, so these are really all things that like I was like, you know, going through. She has a couple other ones. She has.
That's so true though, because like,
isn't that wild?
But like,
no,
I think about that like since I mean, we are pretty much talking about romantic relationships, but like for someone like me who's not in one,
yeah,
like I've been through that in past romantic relationships. I've been through that with guys I've just dated. Like, you know, even recently where like I've even thought like I've compared it to guys I've previously dated, you know, like through that dating phase. And me thinking where I'm like the stage I'm at in life now, being like a single young woman, just thinking about my friendships, like I've definitely done that where I've had friends that like I've connected with, and then I start comparing like my relationship with them to like other friendships, and I'm like, wait, now in this friendship, are these people like, are they really my friend? Like, you just start questioning.
And it's
definitely
just like
happens in all relationships.
Yeah, and it's just like such a downward spiral, and I can't even tell you like how, like, when you're in the middle of it too, and like I'm sure I'm not the only one that's felt this way. And then, you know, talking to like other people about it, I realized like, okay, I'm so not the only person that's gone through this and come out on the other side okay. Like, this isn't going to be like the end all be all, you know. But it's like scary. Like, I was like so just distraught over it all and like had no idea what to do. And this is also right. So my relationship now is truly like the first adult relationship I've ever been in, because I was a kid in my last relationship. So I think that I just had so many, not expectations, but I just felt like, okay, how soon should I know that he's the one? How soon should I feel blah, blah, blah about him? And how soon, all those types of things. And I think that it's just so unrealistic.
All the like pressures that like we're
yeah,
kind of like forced to feel in a way.
yeah. And it's like, it's so stupid because I truly don't believe that you meet somebody and you're like, oh, I know it. Like, I know, like I just don't think that that's the thing. Yeah, and I've heard some people be like, no, it really was like that. I'm not that type of person. I don't think I'd ever meet somebody and be like, oh my God, he's the one. That's just not who I am. And I think that's also like, I was just having like this fucking inner battle where part of me was like, maybe I'm supposed to feel that way. Maybe it's supposed to feel like, oh my God, like magic and rainbows and all these things. And then I was like, that is not who I am,
I feel like at the same time though too, like going back to like that was a couple months ago, like I witnessed that firsthand, you starting to spiral.
Oh, it was a serious spiral.
I feel like not that it was necessary, but like I feel like with everything going on in your life at that moment, it was almost like, that was going to happen.
Yeah, I agree. Now. I know. Well,
that's
like also
so much. Look at, you're teaching us all these things about it.
I know. I think that at the time there was just a lot like generally going on in my life, and I truly just think that that's how my anxiety decided to, make its
That's
appearance.
how it like, yeah, exactly.
Yeah, and I'm glad it did. At the time it was rough and I was definitely struggling and questioning my existence, but things have really gotten better, and that's what I was going to talk about next. How I think that it actually like affects your relationship, and I truly think that you either come out of it better together and like as a better couple, or I just think that it's something that could totally
like you realize
like
do you think it's more like you realize like, oh, like they really aren't, like they aren't this person that I need in my life, or like maybe I'm not the person that they need, like I'm not ready for them? Or do you think it's more of just like you ruin your relationship because you spiral? And like,
I think it's more of like you ruin your relationship because you spiral, because I think that if I would have called it quits, then I would have been like, shit, I really fucked up. Like, I really shouldn't have done that, because really what I needed to do was take time and focus on myself and get myself in a better place in order to be a better partner and to be all those things.
Yeah.
So, and I mean, I'm sure it's different for everybody. I'm sure if my anxiety was worse, maybe I would have been like, I can't do this, But I don't know. I hope I'm not the only one that's dealt with this, because I'm thankfully not dealing with it anymore. But
you literally saying the word spiraling, I thought of my last relationship. Also, sorry guys, I keep yawning. I don't know why. I think the yoga like got me. I'm like,
my yoga kicked my ass this morning, dude.
I'm like slumped right now. Like, I don't take naps. I feel like after this I could take a nap.
Randy can't take naps for the fucking life of her.
I've literally like it.
That's like our major difference. I could sleep anywhere.
I cannot. But I'll go to bed by like 10 o'clock though. I'll fall asleep on you and you will not hear from me until like 6 in the morning.
I'll be like, shit. Like, I'm like watching my shows and I'm like, this bitch is already asleep.
Yep. And I'll text her at like 6 in the morning.
She's like, good morning.
God, I fell asleep.
I'm like, 6 in the morning? What the fuck are you doing, Randy? I'm not up for like another 2-3 hours.
She'll text me later and then I'm like, I did all this. And she's like, I'm in bed.
I've been cleaning. I'm drying the dishes now. I'm doing laundry. I'm like, dude.
She's
like, fucking 9. I just woke up. You really do this, dude. Though you do. You wake up so early.
Thinking about my last serious relationship, I questioned the entire thing. Like, not like being totally honest. There were so many times where it's like I could have or should have walked away.
Yep.
And I kept it going because I was questioning myself. I was like, even though I was questioning the entire relationship, I was also like, should I call it? Like, I was questioning those questions, and I was like, no, you're just in your head about it. Like, this not as bad as you think it is.
So what it is.
And then it was horrible.
Yeah.
And that's why I spiraled and it ended the way it did, and then it like crashed and burned. And I feel like when it gets that bad, that's when you need to like somehow try to get yourself out of it and look at it from
Well, and okay, so those are like two okay, our situations are so different, right? But the same
Yeah.
feeling. So like I think that you can have these feelings in a healthy normal relationship, and that's when thing like you could totally fuck it up. But you could also have it in like the relationship you were in, and then you're
It's a
even
toxic one.
yeah, and then you're spiraling more cuz you're like, "No, it's fine. Like things are okay." Like
Yeah, I was definitely one of those people. Like, it's really sad to say, but I feel like it needs to be said because I know, like, I'm not the only girl. Maybe there's guys out there too
uh-huh.
who have been in relationships like that. But, like, I felt like everyone was against me. And, like, I know you felt like that at one point too. But, like, you have your family telling you, like, you're not the same person
Oh
anymore.
my god.
Or you're losing friends and stuff. And then you're just like, all these people are against me and my relationship. Like,
Yeah.
you don't know what's best for
That's
me.
exactly how I felt. Not in my relationship now,
Yeah.
but in my past one, I felt the same way, and I was like,
But it's like we
what?
were young. But
Yeah, I was like, what is wrong with
it
everybody?
happens.
Yeah,
It's crazy.
dude. And it's just wild because I don't know. I think that part of the reason that I ended up in the place that I was a few months ago is because, and I think I've talked about this on here. We've talked about how our sisters, you know, have done everything the right way, and like they're just in our eyes like
Here we
these
are.
perfect people, like
Yeah.
and we're just
The
so,
golden
like we're
children.
so lost, like we're so like like what are
We're
we
the
doing?
lost souls.
And it's like I think that whether I knew it or not, I was always holding that in the back of my head and was always like, you know, things need to mirror how they were for them and things need to be this way. And then I kind of had this moment of clarity.
I could totally see that in you.
Yeah, and like I had this moment of clarity where I was like, I don't have to do any of those things, and I don't have to, you know, my relationship is my relationship. Me and my sister are so different. We're such
Yeah.
different people that how could our lives ever be exactly the same? And you know,
Yeah.
my boyfriend is very different than my brother-in-law, and so it's like things will never be that way.
Yeah.
And then I had this moment where I was like, okay, that's cool. Like I'm okay with that. And things are going to go the way they're supposed to be for my life and the way that, you know, that cater to who I am as a person.
Yes.
And
Clapping.
but I was so fucking lost, and like I think that it's
I
important.
feel like it's so easy to get caught up in that though.
It is, and especially if you're like an overthinker like I am. Like I just think it's so important to talk about these things because I didn't know that these things existed, and I didn't know people felt this way, and I just felt so like
alone.
yeah, and like what's wrong with me? Like why do I feel like this? And I think that's how like anxiety feels a lot of the time. But like when you're in a relationship and you're dealing with it and you're like, who do I talk to about this? Like who's gonna understand, you know?
Yeah.
So yeah, bottom line, everyone should go to therapy. Because that really helped. But yeah, I think that it's I don't know. I never would have thought this is something that I like would have felt at any point because I kind of just thought like I'm gonna be an adult.
I feel like it's different for everyone.
It is, and I think that like relationships are scary. Like they're
a lot of work.
They are, and there's a lot of you have to be really vulnerable with people and like all these things that like really require a lot of courage, I think. And you know, if you haven't done that for a long time, then it's gonna feel like
scary.
Yeah. So yeah.
I feel like, okay, this is gonna sound probably totally corny, but you know how people are always like, oh, like, I don't know, like I feel like this is a lot of like Twitter, like TikTok people, but how they like want to be so heartless and like sad and like players and all this weird shit. Like I feel like that's just because nobody wants to put like, I was really thinking about this all this morning. Like I feel like one thing now is we truly all lack like substance in some way, and people don't want relationships with actual substance anymore. Like
yeah,
I was thinking about how like the whole me giving my phone number to that person. I was thinking about that, and I remember how I was telling you like, oh, I shouldn't have done. I was like, oh, I did it, and then after I was like, I shouldn't have done that. Like, you know, and it's like, why not? Like, I think because part of me is I've had so many of these like, not even relationships, like, but I've met these like acquaintances or these people, and everything's so surface level, like small talk, just no real conversation. And like I hate, like, this is a part where I say it might sound corny, but like I'm someone like I love having conversation with people. Like Miranda and I could get lost in conversation, like how we do before we record. We'll just talk about God knows what. And I like that. And I hate how now it's everything small talk, and it's just like, let's hook up. Like, I think that's why people don't have real relationships anymore. Like, I feel like it's very hard. Like, I
think
know.
so too. I agree. And I think I went through that phase. I went through the phase where I was like, I don't give a fuck. I don't care. I have no feelings about this. Blah. Like, I was that person. I think I tried to be that person.
I feel like a lot of people try.
Yeah, and then I realized like it's so much cooler to actually care and to care about people and to let people care about you
and put in work into a relationship.
Like, I also think it's like a dumb thing. Like, you're young and like, fuck the world. Like, I don't care, you know?
See, like, you can still be that. Like me, clearly, I'm single. Like, I am not dating. Like, but like, I like having I like meeting people and having conversation with substance and like actually putting in the effort to get to know someone. And it doesn't even have to be because like you want it to turn into something romantic. No, it like could just being friends with people. Yeah. Like, I think that's just overall how you have better relationships. And I think it's so easy for people like us with anxiety already to like get anxious about these relationships. But I feel like, I mean, I've noticed it with you, but like you and Rodrigo like are working on like, you know, like just making yourself like your guys' relationship better. Not like anything is wrong with it. No. But like you guys are both putting in work and like getting to know each other and like, you know, creating a bond so you guys can have a good stable relationship. And I feel like so many people, like, bad things will happen or little things happen and it's like they just brush them aside. And that's when you get that anxiety because it's like you're not dealing with the bullshit. And it's like then it becomes something else. And then you start spiraling because you didn't say anything about it. Yeah. And now you don't want to.
I used to be that person. I used to be the person that would like bottle things up.
Oh,
and then I would just fucking lose it. Explode. And I'd be like, wah! And like I'd be psycho. Like I would see red. Like I was a crazy person. And I think that's why I never knew how much work relationships took because I never did the work because I just ignored it. Like, I had no idea. And I didn't know, like, hey, if we actually work on this, maybe things will be better because I was young and I didn't know. And so I think that, you know, now that I'm an adult that, like, is felt that way and, like, went through these things, I'm like, okay, this is something we have to constantly work on. You have to. And the same thing with your friendships. Like, you have to constantly work on being a good friend and checking in on your people. And, like, you can't just be, what is the word, complacent? Like, in your, you can't just like not do anything for your relationship.
I feel like a lot of people, like, I've been thinking about this too. Like, I got to the point where I've become this person since the beginning of quarantine where like when shit hit the fan or like I got in my funk, like I would shut everyone out. Like I wouldn't be talking to Miranda as much. I would not talk to like a lot of my friends. I just like would kind of disappear and like wallow in like my self-pity or you know, my depression, whatever it was I was feeling. And now I'm trying to think, where was I going with this? But I feel like now where I'm at, okay, I keep like forgetting where I'm going with this. I'm like going to the next step and then I'm like, but what was I gonna say? Oh my goodness.
Think about, what were you looking at that made you think about it? Because that's how I always remember.
I literally was looking at my flowers right now, but like I don't even know why that made me think.
Sometimes I'll be like, oh, and then it comes back.
Oh, I was in a funk for a very long time, and I was not myself, and I was in a dark place, and I feel like a lot of that came with me just not being like happy with myself, and I feel like obviously. Clearly, that's where a lot of like relationship anxiety could come from because I know in my last relationships, I questioned everything because I was not confident and happy with myself, and they weren't either. So it just became like it was a fucking just shit show.
And you constantly were like, "What are you doing?" And what it's. I know what you're
like
talking
honestly,
about.
And like how you said, how you will go to people to like kind of for some validation about things. Yeah. I think it's so important to remember, like, this is something I do now. This is where I was getting at. Something I do now is the reason why I would get in such funks was because I was giving a shit. Like, of course, I care what my family members think. I care what Miranda thinks. I care about what the people in my life think about me. Yeah. But at the end of the day, I'm like, this is my life. And it's like, why am I gonna let everyone else's opinions and feelings and worries like stress me the fuck out and let it like ruin my day? Because that's really what was happening. And now that I'm finally just like I'm not gonna say not giving a shit, but it's like I'm now doing things for me. Like I'm a lot
Yeah,
happier.
well, you have to like value your opinions and thoughts on your own life more than other people's opinions, because it's
exactly like
and it's okay to take other people's, and especially because that's who we are. We're always going to care about what our family thinks, but it's like to a certain
like
extent.
figure out what you want first before you go to other people. Like you have to be confident in what you want in your relationship.
Yes.
It like be like I will never, like, if I'm feeling some type of way about like Miranda or like any relationship I have, like say I want advice on it, like I always make sure like I know what the fuck I want out of it.
Okay,
you know?
which is so funny because we were just talking about this the other day. Randy, she came to me with something, and I was like, I'm gonna hear her. I don't want to give her my opinion until I know how she feels about this.
Okay, so this is a longer episode, but I'm gonna just say the story real quick, and we'll close it off
so
this
funny.
way. But
this is the first time this has ever fucking happened in our relationship.
I was recently, I don't even want to say dating, but I was recently seeing someone, like hanging out with someone, and some weird interaction went down. That was like kind of like, actually it was inappropriate. Like I don't know what else to call it. But something inappropriate went down, and I went to Miranda about it. What happened literally put me into a funk. It like triggered a lot for me. I'm going to cry. It put me into a really dark place. And part of me was like questioning the relationship. And I feel like it just goes back to me being like a really good, like I hate to say I'm a really good person.
No, but you are. You were hoping, you were trying to look at it as if
I was like, maybe they didn't know, like, their intentions weren't to be inappropriate or to be weird. And I was talking to Miranda about it, and I went into the conversation, as I said, I knew what I wanted. I knew I was going to go into the conversation, and my best friend was going to tell me, you're not going to fucking go back. You're not going to do this. You're not going to do that. And I go into this, and I'm like talking to her about how I'm feeling, and Miranda is
for the first time ever. It's like,
for the first time ever, guys, she's like, you know what, Rands? Whatever you want, go for it. If you want to reach out and talk about it, maybe that's what's best. Do what you want to do. And I was like, the fuck? Literally in my head, I was like, no, tell me no. Yell at me. Tell me I'm dumb. Tell me he's stupid. And then, like, hours go by, and I was like really thinking about it. I really started thinking about it. I was like, okay, now do I do it? Because she's like making me feel like I should. And she texts me, and she's like, so how are you feeling? And I was like, fuck that. I'm not fucking doing it.
Yeah.
And she was like, good. I don't think you should. I felt the same way, but she's like, I wanted to see how you felt first. I was like,
I wanted to see, like, because I didn't want to.
I feel like it was a test almost. Like, I almost needed that, like, to see, like, Randy, are you smart enough?
Well, like, when people, like, come to you with something and you don't know what they want, and then you tell them how you, like, feel about it, and then they're, like, the complete opposite, and then you're like, fuck. Like, I just shit all over
Oh,
that.
my God.
That's why I was like, I don't want to, like, be like, fuck him, blah, blah, blah. And then you'd be like, I really
Well, no, see, I feel like that's how I am, like, when it comes to you. Like, I think that's the way, like, if you're going to have a relationship, like, this is something I tell Bailey all the time. I'm like, I know, like, I want what's best for you, like, because I'm that friend.
Yeah.
And, like, I think, like, if you're giving me two options and I think B is the better option for you, I'm not going to be that friend. Like, I'm actively trying not to be that friend where, like, I'm not going to tell you what I think you should do, because at the end of the day, you're going to do whatever the fuck you want.
Exactly,
It's your life. And it's like, I just want my friends to know, like, I support you no matter what. I'm like, if you end up crying at the end of it, I'll be there for you.
Exactly.
If not, like, whatever. Like, I'm going to be cheering you on. But in that moment, I was like, girl, like, she's going to tell me no. Like, this is exactly what I needed. But you know what? She tested me, and I needed it. I needed to remind myself, like, no, Randy. Like, I think, correct me if I'm wrong, even though, like, I haven't really seen too many, like, I've seen this guy, and, like, people here and there will talk to me. I think I'm doing a good job of, like, sticking up for myself.
No, I think so, too.
And not dealing with certain bullshit.
I think so, too. And that's why, like, I was waiting. I knew you weren't going to do it. And that's why I was kind of like, she's not going to do it. And, like, I want her not to do it, but I want her not to do it because she doesn't want to do it. Not because I was, like, shitting all over him and being like, he's the fucking worst.
But
no, I think it was a good moment.
Growth gross. It was a moment. For
was.
that, you should like, subscribe, leave a comment, 5-star rating, whatever you can do, however you're listening or watching. Thank you for tuning in with us.
Yeah.
Excuse my faces that I made while yawning throughout this entire video.
I did weird. I've been moving so much this whole video.
But you know what? This is us. This is What the Fuck Are We Doing? I'm Randy. That's Miranda. And we'll see you guys next week.
Bye.